The desert stretched endlessly under the dying sun, its dunes glowing like molten gold. Every breath tasted of dust, and every gust of wind whispered secrets buried for centuries. Among those shifting sands rode Dr. Elias Monroe, an archaeologist whose obsession with lost civilizations had drawn him deep into the heart of the Arabian desert. His companions, Layla, a local guide, and Professor Richard Hale, his mentor, followed silently, their camels trudging through waves of heat. They had been searching for weeks for the mythical city of Sa'ar-Etul, said to be swallowed by a sandstorm thousands of years ago. According to legend, the city's fall was caused not by war, but by a curse, the wrath of the sand serpent, a godlike creature said to guard treasures buried beneath the dunes. Most dismissed it as folklore, but Elias believed otherwise. He had spent his life piecing together fragments of ancient texts that hinted at something real, something monstrous. By dusk, they reached a ridge overlooking a vast hollow, a basin surrounded by dunes like walls. In the center lay blackened ruins, half buried in sand. The wind carried a low hum, almost like a growl, beneath the earth. Layla shivered. This place, it's not supposed to exist. Elias smiled faintly, brushing sand from his glasses. Then history just got interesting. They set up camp near the ruins. The stars burned cold above, and the desert night came alive with whispers. As Elias examined a fragment of stone engraved with serpentine patterns, he noticed something strange. The carving seemed to shift under the flicker of firelight, as if alive. "Do you see this?" he asked Hale. The professor frowned. "It's just shadow play. Don't let the stories get to you." But that night, Elias couldn't sleep. The air pulsed with a strange rhythm, like the heartbeat of the sand itself. He stepped outside the tent and froze. The dunes were moving. The surface rippled in slow waves, as though something massive crawled beneath. He woke the others. "Something's under us," he whispered. The ground trembled. A low hiss echoed across the basin, deep and endless. Then came silence. Only the wind spoke again. At dawn, they ventured into the ruins. They found shattered columns, ancient symbols of coiled serpents, and a massive stone door half buried in sand. Above it, an inscription read, "He who disturbs the coils of eternity shall feed the desert." Layla refused to go further, but Elias insisted. With Hale's help, he cleared the entrance. Inside lay a narrow passage leading into darkness. The air was thick with decay and something older, a scent like burnt metal and dust. Torchlight flickered across murals, depicting an ancient kingdom worshipping a serpent god, half divine, half monstrous. In the final mural, the serpent devoured its worshippers, their screams immortalized in paint. "Perhaps this was a warning," Hale muttered. Elias touched the mural. Or a prophecy. Deeper inside, they found a sarcophagus, carved from black obsidian, its surface alive with shifting glyphs. A serpent emblem glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with their heartbeats. Layla whispered, "Please, Elias, don't open it." But curiosity had long devoured caution. Elias pried the lid loose. A wave of cold air swept through the chamber, extinguishing their torches. The darkness seemed to breathe. When the light returned, the sarcophagus was empty, except for a faint trail of sand leading deeper into the shadows. That was when the hissing returned, louder, closer. "Run!" Hale shouted. They fled through the tunnels as the walls trembled. Sand poured from cracks in the ceiling. Something vast slithered behind them, unseen but thunderous. Layla screamed as the ground gave way beneath her feet, pulling her into darkness. Elias reached out, too late. "Layla." But she was gone. Elias and Hale burst into daylight, collapsing outside. Behind them, the ruins shuddered as if the earth itself were alive. A massive shape rippled beneath the sand, a shadow the size of a cathedral. The sand serpent had awoken. For days, the desert was no longer silent. Dunes collapsed as if devoured from below. Sandstorms rose without wind. Hale wanted to abandon the search and leave. Elias refused. "We opened it," he said grimly. "Now we must understand it." Against all reason, they tracked the serpent's movement using ancient maps Elias had pieced together. It moved along ley lines, invisible veins of power described in ancient lore. If Elias was right, it was heading toward the Pillar of Ramun, the mythical heart of the lost city, and the supposed prison that once held the creature captive. They reached it after 2 days of sleepless travel, a colossal monolith rising from the sand, etched with runes that shimmered faintly under moonlight. Hale stared in awe. This is it, this is the source. Elias approached the pillar, his fingers trembling. The runes pulsed as he neared, resonating with something within him. He felt a whisper in his mind, not words, but hunger. Suddenly, Hale cried out. From the dunes, the serpent rose, a mountain of scales and sand, eyes burning like twin suns. Its hiss shook the air. Hale fired his pistol, but the bullets vanished into dust. Elias fell to his knees. It's not a beast, he gasped. It's the desert itself. The creature circled the pillar, its form dissolving and reforming, a living storm. From within its coils, Elias heard voices, thousands of souls, trapped and screaming. Layla's voice was among them. He understood then. The city of Saaratul had not been destroyed, it had been consumed. The serpent fed on faith, on worship, on fear. Every prayer had made it stronger. The ground split. Hale was dragged down in a torrent of sand. Elias barely clung to the pillar. The runes beneath his hands burned like fire. The serpent lunged, jaws wide, a spiral of night and flame. In desperation, Elias pressed his bleeding palm against the glyphs, completing the ancient seal. The pillar blazed with light, and the desert screamed. The serpent howled as its body fractured into dust, its voice echoing through eternity. Then silence. When the sun rose, the desert was still again. The ruins were gone. Only a single figure remained, kneeling before the pillar, Elias, his eyes distant and glowing faintly gold. He whispered, "Every story needs a guardian." Centuries later, travelers spoke of a ghost wandering the desert, a man of dust and memory, watching over the sands where the serpent sleeps. And when the wind howls across the dunes, it still carries a whisper. Do not disturb the coils of eternity.